light and dark, alpha and omega, beginning and end. There are always the opposite sides to the spectrum. About 2 months ago, I let you guys know what Metacritic said were my 10 best games in my collection, and that was really cool. I got to look at some awesome games and check out some stuff that I had actually never played before. But today's the opposite side of that. What's going on, everyone? I am Jay, the channel is Square Pegs, and today we are looking at the 10 worst games in my collection. Let's see what we have to offer here.
Okay, so first off, I'm going to try to say something positive about each game because pretty much everything on this list is lacking in some way, shape, or form. And our first one, with a Metacritic score of 55 for the Switch, is Close to the Sun. Now, this is one that my wife picked up on a lark, thinking that this is going to be something she really dug because she likes kind of these moody, intense games. And boy, howdy, does this run poorly. Now, it does capture the mood, and it's got a very unique look, and it looks cool, and it sounds great, but it runs like absolute garbage. It's just a frame rate. I can't really think of any word other than wasteland. Like, it just chugs. It does not play well. It doesn't run well, and it's just not terribly enticing. Like, the gameplay itself doesn't live up to the promise of what the look is, and that's really unfortunate. So yeah, Close to the Sun, number 10 on our Cavalcade of Terrible. In at number 9 is one that I wanted so desperately to like because, I mean, I really enjoyed Transformers Battleground. So when G.I. Joe Operation Blackout kind of caught my eye, I was really hopeful. I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan, bigger than any other 80s property. G.I. Joe is my thing, and I wanted so badly to love this game, and it is not good. I would love to tell you that there are certain aspects of this game that I find redeeming, that there are things that really just kind of pick up and go with it, but this game, it comes in at a 55 on Metacritic, and I honestly think that's being a little bit generous. It's a really rough game. The animations are bad, the character models don't look great, the voice acting is kind of terrible, the combat itself is not fun. Like, you're just not going to hit 9 times out of 10. You're just going to miss. It's not a fun game, unfortunately. So G.I. Joe Operation Blackout for the Switch. At a 55, I probably would have had this down in the 30s personally. It's that rough, but yeah, number 9 out of 55. Number 8 with a 54 is a game for the PS4. It is a PS4 exclusive. It's called Knack, and this is one that I kind of saw constantly at my local GameStop, and I never bothered to pick up. I didn't know anything about it, didn't have any interest in it. But one day Victor wanted to get a game, and he had a few bucks from his allowance left over, and it was like $3, so he picked it up. And I'm going to be honest with you, Knack has a certain charm to it. It isn't a bad game. Now, that's not to say it's a good game. Don't get me wrong. This isn't like something that you need to run out and purchase because it's a hidden gem or anything on the PS4. It's all right. It's an okay game. Like, the controls are pretty good. The animations are good. The voice acting is decent. It's not a bad game. It suffers from being simplistic. I think that's probably its biggest failing point, is that the game is just kind of there. It doesn't really do anything exceptionally well. It just kind of exists. It is a 3D platformer. It feels a little bit kind of like the dollar store version of Astro's Playroom, if that makes sense. Like, it's not quite as ambitious as that game or has as much character as that game, but it plays pretty similarly. It is a bit frustrating that you can't move the camera around, that the right stick is used for dodging, and that's a little bit weird in a 3D platforming game, but it still works. It's an alright game. It's not a bad time. I had a decent time playing it. Oh, I wanted so badly for this game to be good. Alright, in at a 49 is Lucha Libre AAA Héroes del Ring. Oh boy, this one. Okay. So you guys know I like wrestling games. I've done videos on wrestling games in the past. I'm a pro wrestling fan, have been for years, and there's something magical about the art and the history behind Lucha Libre, and I was really hoping that this game, with its flashy cover and halfway decent graphics on the box, and not to mention like a foil embossed La Parka, was going to be something that made me want to play this game, and that it was going to be excellent, and I was going to find some kind of secret hidden gem wrestling game on the 360. And instead what I found is one of the slowest, worst controlling, and possibly poorest interpretation of what wrestling and Lucha Libre is to ever be in a video game. Like, I'm trying to be positive here. Like, it's got La Parka. It's got some other really interesting characters from AAA that I think are excellent to have in video game form, and I think it's cool that this game was even made in the first place, but it just does not execute on the promise of what the license is. Unfortunately, this one, kind of like G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, I would have put this lower than the 49 it's at. I would have had this down in the low 30s, high 20s. It's that rough. I mean, it boots and it plays, so it's got that going for it, but it's not something you're going to want to pick up and play more than 5 minutes of. Next up, and I'm not entirely sure why this one gets rated as low as it does. This is Midway's Greatest Arcade Hits for the Game Boy Advance, coming in at a 48, and yeah, it's just ports of 4 classic arcade games. Like, you get Defender, you get Robotron 2084, you get Joust, and you get Sinistar, and they're all pretty good. Like, they all work, they all play. I think this one is graded harshly just based on how old the games are, and maybe people were expecting something a little bit more updated or a little bit more ambitious, but honestly, you get 4 classic arcade games on 1 cartridge. Now, they're kind of hit or miss. Like, Defender, I'm not a big Defender fan. I don't think that Joust is a spectacular game. It's kind of hit or miss for me. I love Robotron, and from what I am told, I haven't played it personally, but Sinistar is evil, and I need to play it, but it's something that I look forward to trying out. But I mean, you get 4 classic arcade games on here. I mean, your mileage may vary on the quality of each of them, but I don't know that it deserves something below average. I think it's a good collection of ports to have, and it's something pretty cool to have portably on top of it. All right, in at number 7, and this is the one I disagree so much with on this list. It comes in at a 46, and this is Gravity Falls Quest for the Gnome Gemulets on the 3DS. Now, I can understand this being rated low because it's short, but here's the thing. The gameplay is great. I actually put this on my Hidden Gems list for my 3DS video a few months back, and I stand by that decision. I think the game is really good. I think it's fun. It was written by Alex Hirsch, so it's still got all of the same humor that you're going to see from the series. It feels like an episode of Gravity Falls. For the most part, it's not quite all the way there. I think that's going to be kind of hard to replicate in video game form, but it gets pretty close. It's a platformer. You get to play as both Mabel and Dipper. I don't understand why this one is rated so low. I definitely think this is worth picking up, and it's going up in price now, which is kind of crazy. So I think people know that this is a hidden gem. It's not something that is going to be just sitting in clearance bins down the road. This is a good game. If you can find it for a decent price, check it out, because I do love the Gravity Falls game on the 3DS. All right, we are into the top 3, or bottom 3, I guess as it is. And in at number 8 with a 46, which is the most generous score I think I have ever seen in a video game. This would personally be the lowest on my list, is Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival for the Wii U. Now, I love Animal Crossing. I love the characters of Animal Crossing. I think the concept of a digital tabletop game is a good thing, and I think there are games out there like Splendor that are spectacular, that take a board game and turn it into something interactive and fun. You guys have seen my videos on Wingspan, you know how much I love that. But this game, take all the good parts of Mario Party, and look, I'm not a Mario Party fan, so this takes a lot for me to say this. Take all the good parts of Mario Party, like the mini-games and the creative design for the boards, throw those out the window, make sure you have to have an Amiibo figure to be able to play the game, and then you get the idea of what Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is. There are no mini-games that you are going to find on the boards. You are just rolling dice and moving around. It is the worst game of Sorry ever. At a 46, the only thing I can think that is keeping this game that high is the fact that the graphics are decent and the music is classic Animal Crossing. This game is not good. It is a bad game. 46 is about 30 points too high for what it is. In at number 9 with a score of 39, the second to worst game in my collection according to Metacritic is Young Justice Legacy for the Xbox 360. And yeah, this game's awful. It controls poorly, it looks bad, the music is awful. The voice acting's pretty good because you get the cast from the TV show, which is wonderful. But the idea behind this game was to fill in the gap in between seasons, and it doesn't do that at all. I don't understand the purpose of this one. Like, the story is supposed to be tied in, but it doesn't tie in at all. Like, there's no reference back to it in the animated series, and it's just kind of ignored completely. It's considered canonical, but, I mean, no one really cares because it's that bad. It is not worth checking out. Like, Young Justice was such a great animated series, and it deserved a fantastic video game interpretation, and instead we got this hunk of crap. It is awful. And according to Metacritic, the number 1 with a poop bullet that is coming... I don't know what else to say. No, I don't know. Oh, man. That's staying in. Okay. And number one, that is the absolute worst game that I own, according to Metacritic, is Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with a 25 on Metacritic. And I think that is being exceptionally harsh. Now, I don't want you to interpret that as me thinking this is a good game, because it's pretty bad. It is a pretty decidedly awful game, but how this is scoring lower than Young Justice Legacy or Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is just astonishing to me. The models of the turtles in the game look like they're straight out of the animated series. The music is great. You get the full theme song and introduction from the cartoon, which is wonderful. And it's kind of neat to be able to hot swap between the turtles that are always on screen at all times. Now, it's a bit of a cluster and kind of convoluted on screen because there are so many characters on screen at the same time. So it does lose a little bit of the fidelity and a little bit of the fun because you have to juggle so many different things, but I think it's better than a 25. But according to Metacritic, this is the worst of the worst. Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a 25.
The worst of the worst, according to Metacritic. I mean, Gravity Falls is one of my favorite 3DS games. It is short, but as a fan of the series, I really think this one's pretty good. It expands upon the mythos that the series laid out, and I actually think it plays really well. And there's some other stuff in here as well that I actually enjoy. You guys already heard the video, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite of the worst is that I showed in my video today. And if you have your games ranked on GameEye, sort that by the Metacritic score and let me know what the worst of the worst is according to yours. Hey, I really appreciate your time watching this video. If you dig what I do around here, consider becoming a monthly Patreon sponsor like the folks you're seeing on screen right now. Love these people and I love their support so much. And if you are not in the position to become a monthly subscriber, consider checking out our merchandise. Links to the Patreon page and the merchandise will be in the pinned comment down below, as well as links to all of our places on social media. Until next time, guys, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.